Hello and welcome. This is Angie with thecountryshootcottage.net here today with another fun video from Cricut. So this video is sponsored by Cricut, however all projects and opinions are my own. So today we're going to use the Cricut Easy Press and we're going to make some shirts. So I'm actually going to make 4 different shirts out of a wide range of iron-on materials. Everything from just regular to glitter to holographic, just everything you can imagine with my Easy Press 2. Now, last week we did a video comparing the Easy Press 2 to an iron, so if you want to see the differences between those, I suggest you head there and check out that video. But today, for me, the Easy Press 2 wins over the iron, so today I'm going to use it to make some shirts and show you the versatility of the machine itself. So first of all, I cut some iron-on. Now, you can cut iron-on with any Cricut machine, so any of the Cricut iron-on products can be cut with any of the Cricut Explore series or the Cricut Maker series. So you can cut your iron-on designs. Now, I have 4 shirts today. If you want those designs, check out the link in the description for this video. Can't find the link to the designs, leave a comment. I'll get it for you. I will be sure to get it for you. All right, so the shirt designs that we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with just regular iron-on, so everyday iron-on on a cute shirt. Then we're going to mix it up and use regular iron-on with some cute holographic. Then we're going to use regular with some patterned iron-on and kind of a layering technique that you might enjoy. Then we're going to go even further with our layering and use some everyday with some glitter and layer those up for a cute shirt that's perfect for Easter. So let's make each of these 4 shirts. So now we're going to make some shirts with our Easy Press 2. So you'll need a variety of iron-on materials for these projects. So anything from holographic to pattern to everyday to glitter. And I'll go over each shirt and talk about the types I'm using on each one. And then of course you'll need some shirts. And you'll also need your Easy Press 2 as well as an Easy Press mat. So we'll talk about the Easy Press 2 as we go through the shirts and how to use it, how easy it is to use to make shirts and projects of all types with iron-on material. So the first shirt we're going to make is just with everyday iron-on, and I've cut that with my Cricut machine. Now, iron-on can be cut with either Cricut machine, so any of the Explore series or the Maker series. And my first tip for weeding is to start your weeding tool in the corner where there's no design. And that way you can easily start lifting it back from that carrier sheet without having to find that with like your fingernail or something like that. And then you can easily peel away the surrounding area. And then we can get things like the centers of letters or anything extra to your design. So basically, after weeding, you want everything removed that you don't want transferred to your shirt. So that's my next tip, is just to make sure that everything is gone and it looks just like you want it when you're going to add it to your shirt. Now for this one we're just using one type, one color. We'll get into some more advanced shirts later in this video. So we're going to start with the very basic shirt, which is the everyday and a cotton poly blend shirt with just one color. And then we're using our Easy Press 2. So the Easy Press 2, I've done quite a few videos on it already, but I'm just going to kind of go over the basics of it. Now if you want to see the Easy Press 2, say, compared to an iron, I have a video on that. I also have it compared to a heat press, and I have it compared to the Easy Press 1 as well, if you're wondering what the differences are. So you can scroll back on YouTube and see those videos. If you cannot find those videos, just leave a comment and I will drop a link to the videos in the comment section below. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do when making your shirt is determine the right time and temperature that you need to set your Easy Press 2. Now, the Cricut website has a great interactive guide that's perfect for getting those times and temperatures. So what you're going to want to do is use that interactive guide and choose both the type of iron-on material you're using as well as the material for the shirt you're putting it on. So in this case, I chose everyday iron-on, and then I chose a cotton poly blend for my shirt. And then you also need to choose what you're putting under your project. So in this case, I'm using the Easy Press mat, so I chose it. You can also use a towel under your Easy Press, and they have that option as well. Now, I prefer the Easy Press mat for a few reasons. So number one, when I was using the towel, which I have used several times before, tons of moisture would come out of my towel, and I had to watch what surface I put it on. So I had to press on something where I wouldn't ruin the surface with excess moisture. So that eliminated me pressing on any type of wood surface. The second thing is that the Easy Press mat helps me to keep the heat even and consistent, which for me is a game changer when pressing any type of iron on. Now, I am using the smallest Easy Press. So the Easy Press 2 comes in 3 different sizes. Now, this smallest size is perfect for onesies as well as toddler shirts. So we're making toddler shirts today. And so I'm going to use the smallest Easy Press because it's perfect for that. If you're making adult size shirts, I would definitely recommend the medium size. And if you are making like extra large or 2XL shirts, that type of thing, I would recommend the largest size of Easy Press. So the Easy Press itself is, first of all, it has an even heating across the bottom, and you'll notice no holes like an iron would have for steam. That ensures that you get an even press all the way across. The second thing is that you can adjust the time and temperature. So this button turns the Easy Press on. Then you press the temperature button and adjust with the plus and minus to the appropriate temperature for your material. And then you can press the time button and adjust up and down for the appropriate time. And then this button actually is what starts your Easy Press. So the first thing they recommend is to heat up the surface and remove any wrinkles. Then you will put down your iron-on material. Now you just want to locate it on your shirt. So you want to make sure that it's approximately in the center, that it's the right height, and that it's straight. And then you can just set the Easy Press down, press the green button, and press down firmly. And then it'll count down the time, and when it beeps, it's actually done. And then you can flip the shirt over and press it from the back. So super simple. And as you can probably see, so this small Easy Press is perfect for these small toddler shirts as it covers the entire design in one press. Now, if you have the small Easy Press and wanted to make a larger shirt, you could actually press it twice. So you would press half of it, and then press again, overlapping slightly in the center. So that was 30 seconds. And now I want to flip it over, and I'm going to press from the back for about 15 seconds. And it's harder to see from the back, but I just want to make sure I'm completely covering my design. And then I just want to flip that over. And the everyday iron-on is actually a warm peel, so I just make sure it's not too hot, like it's not going to burn my hands. And then we're going to peel back this carrier sheet to reveal our design. Now, if for some reason when you're peeling it back, the iron-on is not stuck completely, all you do is press again. So you just grab your Easy Press, press it over the top again until your design is completely down and ready to gift or ready for your toddler to wear. Alright, so once it's fairly cool to the touch, we can start peeling that back. So you just want to start, you can start in one corner, you can start to the side, it really doesn't matter. But just watch as you peel back and make sure that the material is completely stuck to your shirt. So any of these edges that may not be stuck down, we'll want to repress those. So far so good. So I like to just check as I'm going, just to make sure everything is down well. I mean, maybe I had my Easy Press off slightly when I did it from the back, and then I want to press that again just to make sure everything's heated up well. So everything looks fine with the letters. And we'll get to this build up here and make sure everything's okay with it. So just that quickly and easily, we have a fun shirt for a toddler from Everyday Iron-On. Okay, so now we're going to do our second shirt. So I've gotten out the medium-sized Easy Press for this shirt. It's a little bit of a larger design. This is actually my favorite size just for versatility. And then I got the mat that matches. So every Easy Press size has a matching size mat. Now, we're going to do two different types of iron-on on this shirt. So I have a holographic and an everyday. And we're actually going to press the holographic first because it takes a higher temperature. So whenever you're doing two different types, do the one that takes the higher temperature first and then do the second. So what we're going to do is preheat this material, get out any wrinkles, then we're going to locate our design. So we're going to locate both together. So this tricycle goes inside this design like this, and then we'll locate it on the shirt. And I could actually, now that I'm looking at this, I can actually press these both at the same time. So what you could do is press the bicycle, then press the everyday, the words, but I can actually trim away some of this carrier sheet. And as long as the iron-on for my second type is not under or on top of the carrier sheet for the other type, it should press fine. So I have removed it, and now I can press this design all at one time. So we just make sure that it's centered, make sure that it's straight on the shirt, and make sure that wherever you want it up and down, that it's located properly. And then once we have it located, we'll just put the Easy Press on our design and hit the button. So I set the time and temperature for the higher of the two. So I set it for the holographic, and I'm pressing down on the handle well as my Easy Press counts down the time. So now that is finished, we're going to flip it over. We're going to press from the back once again for about half the time. If you ever want the Easy Press to stop in the middle, so I want it to stop at 15, just press the green button and take it off, and then it'll stop the countdown. Then we just want to let this cool slightly, and we can remove our carrier sheet. One tip, if you want this cool to the touch, is that this Easy Press mat holds in quite a bit of heat. You want to remove the shirt from that heat while it cools off just slightly, so you can remove that carrier sheet. It'll go a little faster just without that added heat being held into the shirt. So now we're going to start to peel this back, and just as we go, making sure that everything is stuck well to the shirt and that we don't need to press again. There we have another shirt with the Easy Press. So next up is this shark shirt, and it actually has everyday as well as patterned iron-on. So the patterned iron-on is actually a much higher temperature as well as more time than the everyday, but I'm going to add them both to the shirt. So what I'm going to do is press the patterned first, and I'm going to press it for about half the time recommended on the Cricut website, and then I'm going to see if it will stick to the shirt just enough for me to peel that carrier sheet away and add the everyday to it, because once I press both of those together, that will give me that added time and temperature that the pattern needs. And so all I'm trying to do is line this up so I can locate the entire thing on my shirt. So we just want to locate. So I want this part to be straight. So I'm going to judge off that and how straight that is. On the shirt. And then I just want to peel this top piece back and just leave the pattern on the shirt. And we're going to press it for a little over half the time and then see if it will peel back. And then we can add the everyday to the top, press again, and it should be plenty of time and temperature for the pattern to adhere well. So pattern iron-on is generally a cold peel. So I'm going to see if I can get this off. Yeah, so we're just going to peel this off. Then we can add this right to the top. And what I want to do is take the temperature down to something closer to what is required for every day. And we just want to layer this over the top. And we'll wait for this to cool for just another second. If it's not all the way down, it's fine, as the patterned iron-on can handle the extra heat and time. But having it down just a little bit would probably be good for the everyday. Then we'll just press for the recommended amount of time, and we'll flip it over and press on the back this time before peeling the entire thing off. Now, it is important to protect the entire surface of the iron-on when you're doing a double press like this, but the carrier sheet for my everyday actually covered my shark in the pattern. If it did not, I would need to use the carrier sheet that I just took off of the shark, or something like an iron-on protective sheet. Then we just want to press from the back. Then we can just remove that. We can allow this to cool slightly before removing the carrier sheet completely. And you can see now that the carrier sheet covered my entire design, so I didn't have to worry about covering the shark up with something on that second press. So the pattern iron-on really adds something to shirts like these, and it comes in a wide variety of patterns and colors. So think about it when you're designing a shirt, especially with a large area like this that would have been a plain, maybe blue. With the pattern, it gives it a really cool effect. So there is our third shirt with the Easy Press. And our last and final shirt has some more advanced layering techniques. So we are going to add this chick to our shirt. And we can layer on some feet and his mouth. And then we'll have the glitter, and we'll actually layer on some sunglasses and some words. So we can actually use kind of the same technique as we did on a previous shirt and trim as much of this carrier sheet away as possible. And we can actually do the orange and the black at the same time. But we will need to add this chick to the shirt before we can do that. So the first thing we'll need to do, let's line everything up, get it approximately how we're going to want it on the shirt, and then we can press the chick. So the first thing we want to do is line it up. And the yellow is the everyday iron-on. So I have my Easy Press set for the everyday, and I actually just noticed the center of this G still needs to be removed. There we go. So I have the Easy Press set for the everyday, so we'll press the yellow first, and we will not press it from the back, we'll just press it from the front. Okay, so we need to remove the orange and the black glitter. We're just going to press this chick with the first press. So the everyday is actually 315 for 30, but I'm going to do it about 25 seconds. Then I'm going to remove it. And we may need to let this cool just slightly to get that carrier sheet off, and then we'll layer on the other two types and press it again for the full time. So there's our first piece, and then we'll add this to the top. Now we remove the carrier sheet off this chick, but we're going to need it. So we're going to need it to protect that iron-on once we have this in place. This will not cover the entire chick. We want to make sure that's protected when we do our press. So this is actually at a higher temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this up and let it be heating up. And as you can see, like, the wings are not covered under the carrier sheet for these two. So I'm going to use the carrier sheet that I took off, and I'm going to put it down. You can also use an iron-on protective sheet, you know, some parchment paper, just anything to protect that from your iron or Easy Press while you press. Alright, so now that's down, and we'll give this a few minutes to heat up, and it's heated up, and then we can press. Now this time we're going to press from the front as well as the back, and we are using the time and temperature for the glitter for this portion because it's higher than the everyday. So you want to, when pressing two different types at the same time like this, you want to use the higher of the two. And that's complete, and we'll flip it over and press it from the back. Then we can flip that over. We'll just allow it to cool ever so slightly, and then we can remove the carrier sheets, and our fourth shirt will be done. So as you can see, making shirts is super quick and easy with your Easy Press. You can make them really quickly, cutting the iron-on on your Cricut and then pressing it with the Cricut Easy Press. So, and you would really want to be careful here, make sure that glitter is really down onto the everyday that you put on in the beginning, and that this everyday is stuck really well since it's layered. And everything seems to be stuck well, so there's our fourth shirt. Alright, so these shirts are super fun. I hope you enjoyed these. And so if you want to make some toddler shirts for anyone in your life, be sure to get the designs for these. You can find the links to the designs in the description for this video. Can't find it? Leave me a message. I will definitely get it for you. So you have 4 cute designs that you can make for toddlers or younger kids that are just perfect for gifts or just making it just because. So pick up your Easy Press 2. So that's my favorite. Pick up your Easy Press 2, make these shirts. So if you have any questions about the Easy Press 2, have any questions about the shirts, the techniques I use, leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe so you don't miss any of the Cricut crafts. We have them all the time. And thank you all so much for joining me today. And I'll be back next week with probably even more stuff from Cricut. But you can never tell, but more crafty goodness. Thanks, y'all. Bye.